Alekhine was a world champion for a relatively long time. He won the title in 27, and then there was this break of 2 years from 35 to 37 when he lost the title to Eve, but then retrieved it in the return match. And then he kept the title until his very last day in 46. So it's almost 20 years of being a world champion, meaning that in the meanwhile, generations changed a little bit. His opponents were not the same towards the end of his career as they were in the 20s. So, as a conclusion, he was exposed to different kind of styles, fashions, trends, whatever, temperaments. Well, one suggestive thing is that in 38 there was this Afro tournament, which was some sort of half-official candidates tournament. The winner was supposed to get the moral rights to challenge Alekhine for a match. Although Alekhine could well ignore the result of the tournament. Anyway, the winner was Paul Keres from Estonia, much younger player than Alekhine, and she was a very credible candidate to a match with him. But then the war started, so nothing really came out from a project that Alekhine might have had. Anyway, it is interesting to follow a game played during the war. Both Keres and Alekhine were caught in the Nazi Germany, so they played some tournaments in that period together. And it's not only that the opponent was somehow new to him compared to what he had faced in his better years, but also the kind of position they played was relatively new for Alekhine. It was a Queen's Indian, but the character of the position is rather that of a Catalan opening, which in those years was something incredibly fashionable, but anyway, something relatively new. The Catalan had become popular mainly because of the efforts of a relatively unknown player, Vladimir Petrov, who disappeared for political reasons somewhere in Siberia, was sent there and never returned. Anyway, the Catalan brought some new life into the Queen's Gambit structures. And although Alekhine was not so young anymore, he proved that he could adapt himself to the new ways of playing and to the new opponents. And actually, the game we are looking at will result into a crushing win over his much younger and quite strong opponent. We see that the position is almost symmetrical. The main difference is that the king's bishop, the white king's bishop, is better placed than black's. First of all, because it puts some pressure on the long diagonal, but almost as important is that the e2 square is available for the queen. So white has no problem of development. He just connected rooks. And for black, it is more complicated to do that. The e7 square is taken. So obviously, Keres needs to move his queen somewhere to b8 or a8 in order to get coordinated. Keres chose queen a8, which looks quite natural because it creates some sort of battery along the long diagonal. But it has the disadvantage of leaving the c7 rook undefended. From this point of view, queen b8, which looks more modest, would have been safer. And it is interesting that Alekhine immediately spotted the defects of this plan, c225. Of course, it's always a question if this is good for black or not. It's also a matter of taste. But generally speaking, with a bishop on g2, black kind of avoids to get the hanging pawns. So this is what Keres did. And now, before takes full advantage of the fact that the rook is undefended. At first sight, it's not such a big problem. I mean, Keres completes his development, defends the rook, and now he threatens either c takes b4 or c takes d4. So what has white achieved is not clear. But Alekhin had seen one step further. And now we see that with this non-symmetrical exchange, he has managed to create a very good square for his knights. And he has transformed his queenside pawns into a very dangerous majority. There are certain endings with a knight on c4 where white can simply play a4, a5, a6, and then b6 and win. So also, if we think a little bit, the whole black regrouping looks clumsy now. The rooks are doubles behind the own pawn. The battery hits into the well-defended pawn. So actually, everything he has done so far has brought no fruit. And Keres thought that she would get some counterplay by opening the A file, but it was just an illusion. Now the B file is a passed pawn. The B5 pawn is a passed pawn. And after knight c4, there is this terrible threat of rook a1, practically forcing the queen to retreat. And what's worse is that bishop f6 wins material. There are three ways of recapturing, but none of them is good. Knight f6, knight b6. So, okay, it's interesting that if black had retrieved the queen on a7, a different fork would have followed after knight f6, namely b6. So actually queen a2 was the real mistake. If bishop takes f6, then just in the game. And Keres chose this move, but now he lost the exchange anyway, and very soon the game. So we can see that Alekhin somehow managed to keep in touch with the tendencies. Of course, his results in the final period of his career were not as impressive as, let's say, in Bled and San Remo, but anyway, he remained very much in the picture.